How may I help you?
I want to open a staking account.
The chairman awaits you.
Welcome to GSB. Here are your staking options. Are you ready for staking? Now you are ready.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hey, welcome to Daniel's Den. Give me a moment as the audio video has not decided to connect together. But welcome, everybody. We're going to share some great content from Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. So let's see here. There we go. There's a magical share audio button that must have been missed. All right, but welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. I see Robert is hanging out with us today, tonight, this afternoon. And what we want to do today, guys, is we're going to share a little bit about the process, right? So I'm going to come back in a little bit after this video / audio so that we have that as an option so that we can kind of all be on the same page as I bring back. Thank you for that, Robert. Thank you so much. And so that we have a point of reference. Now, there's two, before I bring this out, because I got it all ironed out, the details. But before I bring it out, we're going to talk a little bit about this book, Before You Quit Your Job, 10 real life lessons that every entrepreneur should know as you build your multi-billion-dollar business. This is an excellent book. We're going to glean some amazing points from there. Just a few points. I'm not going to do too much in there. And in this amazing book called Fake by Robert Kiyosaki. If you haven't gotten any of these two books, definitely I recommend it. I love how he writes. It's funny because he had a challenge with education growing up, and he becomes such a great author and teacher because of those challenges that he had. All right. So with that in mind, let me go ahead and pull in this video / audio. This time we are going to have sound. Okay, let's see here. And booyah. All right, here we go, guys.
Don't let failure ever stop you. You know, use your brain, use your creativity. For example, look at Slack. You know, that thing came out, and failure should inspire you to get smarter. And unfortunately, our school system says if you fail, you're stupid. That is not true. You know, we learn from our mistakes. Mistakes are opportunities to get smarter, be humble, and take a look at something. So anyway, the cash flow board game, just like Slack, was a failure. So I had to write Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is a true story about my rich dad and my poor dad. And suddenly I went on the Oprah show, and suddenly I became famous. So anyway, that's an entrepreneur story. That's who I am. Most of the young people your age today, you know, a lot of them want to become entrepreneurs. The problem with this, you have to understand tax. You see, this is all over the world, very little difference. These guys pay 40% of their money in taxes. So they make $1,000, they're going to spend $400 in taxes. These guys that make $1,000, they're going to pay 60% in tax. So our schools are teaching entrepreneurship, but they're not teaching them tax. Okay, and because they're focusing on income. Over here, it's 20% in tax. So they make $1,000, only $200 goes to tax, and these guys, 0%. So the reason financial education isn't working in our schools.
Hey, that's okay, Robert.
Is they're teaching financial education for these people and these people, but to really become rich, you have to focus on this side here. And that's the difference between a rich dad and the financial and what they're teaching in school right now. I'd rather be on this side. This side is a lot harder, but in the long run, it's more fun for me. On this side here, it's harder, but you're paying tax constantly. So these guys here are saying tax to rich. Well, these guys don't pay taxes. And as strange as that may seem, and I'm talking about legal, this is all over the world. So that's the big difference here. One last thing, which I think most millennials understand, is, you know, in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I wrote about Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's. And he was teaching at the University of Texas, the MBA program. And Ray asked, and most of the MBAs are going to come out here. So Ray Kroc asked him, he says, what business is McDonald's in?
And I have to jump in here right now because anybody in the sound of my voice, you want to see the movie The Founder. I don't get paid to advertise that, but it's an excellent movie because it really does illustrate even more detail about that system and how they created that awesome system, which is McDonald's, and then how Ray Kroc came in and amplified that system. You know, it's a great illustration too of leadership and a leadership lid, because the McDonald's brothers had a small mindset when it came to what they were doing. They didn't want to scale up. You know, they had several concerns about quality control and things like that. They didn't want to scale up, right? So their leadership lid got them where they were. And then Ray Kroc came in and so definitely I would recommend any entrepreneur to hear and listen to that movie, The Founder. It's an excellent movie.
And everybody yelled and said, no, we know you're in hamburgers. And Ray says, no, we're not. I'm not. McDonald's is not hamburgers. McDonald's is in the business of real estate over here. So what you have McDonald's here, and the money McDonald's makes buys the real estate. And that is my formula. This is Rich Dad. I own real estate. I don't hang out here. I'm glad you guys are here, right? And we do our best to make sure you're educated and you have your own businesses and things.
Ooh, I just thought about something. Oh my gosh. I just thought about something, just like how he was just illustrating. Oh my gosh. So he just said that he has an educational organization, right? And he's using that and filtering into real estate. Robert, you know what I'm about to say, right? We have an educational platform within GS Partners, which teaches people the strength and the power of blockchain technology, amongst a lot of other things. But the foundation is letting people know and educating them. And then we also have an opportunity to acquire physical. Oh my gosh. Okay. Woo. Yeah, we have an opportunity for physical real estate also. That is just, oh man. Yep. Yeah. Man. Okay, let me I'm gonna try and behave. I don't think I can. Man.
But really the formula I follow personally is McDonald's. We have an education company that buys real estate, which means we make a lot of money, pay zero taxes legally. The difference is when I left my high pay, so I got a job with Xerox. So that's the last job I ever had. So when you look at the cash flow quadrant here, ESBI, here I was. Okay. I was making a lot of money at Xerox.
Yeah.
I went to Xerox for one thing, not the money. I worked at Xerox because I had to learn how to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Because entrepreneurs have to learn how to sell. So I was preparing for this quadrant here.
Yeah.
But I was really preparing for the big business quadrant. Mm-hmm. So I took a job at Xerox for 4 years. So I was preparing for these two quadrants here. So when I talk to young people like you're here in social media,
yeah,
you're learning the same thing I was learning at Xerox, except you're learning technology-wise.
Yeah.
Very smart.
100%. That's exactly
Right.
what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
And one thing I actually really do appreciate when I worked at the bank was that we were very sales orientated,
Right.
and that's all that mattered. And I think that's where I got a lot of my sales skills too from.
Correct.
Like
Talking
it was
to people.
learning how to get rejected and finding a way to not get rejected
Good.
next time.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
So the lesson to young people is don't take a job for the money, take a job for what you're learning.
Yeah.
So would you mind giving us some of the entities you use?
Sure. We have the good, the bad, and the ugly. And on the bad entities would be a sole proprietorship. And that's where you do business in your individual name, right? There's absolutely no protection here. All of your assets are exposed to a claim.
A lot of people have those.
By default, you get into business, and if you don't form a corporation, you're a sole proprietor, and all of your assets are exposed. We also have the ugly entities. These are the ones we really don't want to get involved with. and that would be the general partnership. And this is liability times 2. And I just went down the line there. General partnership, if you shake hands with someone to get into a business, you have become their partner. They can obligate the business, and you're personally responsible for what they obligated the business
Let me
for.
give you an example.
Yeah.
There was a company, a lumber company here in Phoenix, and there was 2 people got together and they shook hands and they formed as a general partnership.
Right.
One partner's daughter ran over somebody. And because what happened then?
The other partner was personally responsible for
the
that
other
accident.
partner's kid.
Right. So that's the ugly way to do business. And it can happen with a handshake. It's called innocent formation. You shake hands with someone, you get into business, you're personally responsible, not only for your own mistakes, but your partner's mistakes. So you'll never do business as a general partnership. Then we have the good entities. And the government gives us good ways to do business, good ways to protect ourselves. And these are LLCs, LPs, and corporations. These are the good ones. LLC stand for limited liability company. Limited partners, LP stands for limited partnership. And then we have corporations. These are the ways you're going to move
C
forward.
corporation, C corp.
We have different taxation. You have a C corp, which is double taxed. We have the S corp, which is a flow through tax. There's only one tax. You're going to work with your CPA on what is best for you.
In school, they compensate for risk by telling you to memorize the right answer. So in other words, these kids leave, the young people like you leave school saying, oh, if I know the right answers, then there's no risk. And it drives old guys like me crazy. Because everybody's talking about millennials. What's wrong with them? You know, millennials are the most highly, in many ways, the most highly educated generation in history. They have the cell phone. They didn't get educated in school. They got educated on social media, on the cell phone. They know all the answers, but they're afraid of doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest complaint about my generation is millennials know all the answers, but they can't do anything. The reason they can't do anything is because you might hurt somebody's feelings, you might make a mistake, you know, and this just keeps you guys just trapped in this little box here.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I think millennial money is such an important point here. Because if you're going to come into my world, old guy's world, or the information age, you've really got to understand what is risky and what is not risky. And in my world, if you play it safe, that makes you stupid. Because if you don't take risks, you don't get smarter.
Yeah.
You know, so you may know the answer, but you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And one of the best things I had is I went to military school, then I went to flight school. I had such great teachers, you know. All of them could fly. You know, so my flight instructor could fly. What a novel idea. You know, a flight instructor can fly. But when I was in high school, most of my teachers were terrified.
Mm-hmm.
They're all cowards, you know, job security. Don't make mistakes. Just memorize the right answer and you'll be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why most school teachers aren't rich.
Yeah.
And they teach that to your generation.
Yeah. And most of them are teaching us things that they don't do on a daily basis. Like we have entrepreneurship classes, and they're not entrepreneurs, you know? So it's kind of frightening when you think we're relying on the school system.
Oh.
And the fact that they're teaching us, so the way to get through college, right, is practicing all the right answers, taking the exam, putting in all the right answers.
Yeah.
When in real life, that's the last thing that'll ever happen, right?
No. Like, he talk about fake, you know, this is my book, Fake here.
Mm-hmm.
Fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. The reason it's fake money, fake teachers, and fake assets is because it all has to be fake. You have to have fake teachers to understand fake money. Then you have to have fake assets to buy those stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, fake assets. But without fake teachers, fake money, you can't do it. So that's why I love working with on these programs here.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're going to be successful, you've got to take some risk. So in my work, I work for this. You know, like I don't need the money.
Yeah.
But as my teacher was Dr. R. Buckminster Fuller. And he says, I don't work for me, I work for everyone. And that was one of the biggest lessons I got from the military. You know, from the military was very high spiritual intelligence. That's why your dad and I get along so well. Because when we went into combat, which was a horrible experience of good and bad people, enemy and friends, you know. But when we climbed into our aircraft, it was a crew of 5. We became one. It is the best feeling, as horrible as it is, flying into combat, because we might not come back. But it was the highest feeling of all. It was spiritual. And I'm afraid it's not just millennials, it's human beings, you know. Well, you know, is this good? Is this bad? Is this the best Vuitton shirt? Can I get it at a better price? Oh, he's cute or she's cute, you know, I mean, but is there somebody better? Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what's going on.
So you guys are stuck in your head. And I think you should get more into your spirit, you know, like saying, what can I do for my fellow human being?
Yeah.
What can I do for the environment? And I think the biggest secret of my success is I have all, you know, we all had these. We all have some degree of physical things we do. Emotionally, I'm a basket case a lot of the time, you know. I get upset, I get angry, I get sad, I get my feelings hurt. And I'm always, this is good, this is bad, this is, you know, you watch politics, it's all good and bad, it's a bunch of BS. But what keeps me going is this, and it's spiritual.
Yeah.
Is how can I serve others? How can I serve the planet?
I love that right there, guys. So he ended on the spiritual side of things, right? So just to kind of recap a little bit about what he just said, man, and then we'll go into another part of this amazing book that I wanted to kind of bring up for everybody. Let me go ahead and load this here. All right. So some of the things he said, I'm just going to take just a few. Learning from mistakes. Every entrepreneur, you learn from mistakes, right? And then you go ahead and move on. That tax thing is huge, especially with what we're doing, because with home-based business, there are some amazing tax advantages. Don't believe me, just go straight to the IRS website and type in home-based business and read all the benefits that is available to you. Go straight to irs.com or irs.gov, right? If you're in the United States, right? And read those benefits. They're available to you. These are things that help empower you so that you're aware of some of the things that other people are not aware of, right? There's a process that successful people do. They take advantage of certain things that other people don't take advantage of. They know things that other people don't know and they act on it, right? So here's that other part, take risks, you know? It's amazing how people are trying to be so calculated in their mind. He just went over that. They know everything in their head, but they haven't actually taken any action to move forward. So there's a phrase that says an ounce, a small little ounce of taking action is way better than having thousands and thousands of pounds of just theories and thought processes, right? Because when you jump on the bike and start to pedal, you're gonna have to learn how to balance, right? You're gonna have to hold the wheel and steer it a certain way, right? You can't look at it and get that same experience, right? And then he talked about the spiritual way, which is what he is focused on, giving and empowering others, right? Putting other people in a position to be successful, right? Thinking of others and helping others, right? So he talked about that. So that was just immense, right? So here's what I want to talk about. This was all just a prelude to everything I want to talk about. And it's coming straight from this amazing book. Literally, we're coming right from this book. I love Robert Kiyosaki because he talks about the process and he talks about you can become a millionaire a whole lot of different ways. But the big concern is, what process are you going through? Because the process is going to develop you into something or someone, right? How are you going to come out on the other side, right? So let me give you an example of what he's mentioning in the book, right? He talks about the process. He says anyone can become a millionaire. You can become rich by inheriting money, right? So that's one thing that he talked about. But there's no actual development in that process of just getting money given to you, right? So, and he talked about finding rich finding somebody to adopt you, right? Like there's no development in that, right? So there's almost no process of development. So you have no improvement, no personal improvement connected to that at all, right? But that's what happens sometimes when people just inherit, right, wealth, right? Or excuse me, inherit riches, right? And then he said you can become rich, right? By marrying for money, right? Actually seeking out a mate that's successful, right? But he said during that process, there's a problem because what are you doing? What are you becoming in that process, right? You're really just chasing someone for money. So you're not really developing. And of course, you become a certain type of person to accomplish that goal of just marrying just for money. Okay. Obviously, if you know someone who's successful and you enjoy them, 2 thumbs up, right? But in this part, he was talking about just marrying for riches, right? So that process is horrible. So you might be financially free, you might be in the millionaire status, but you became in that process something that did not help society, right? Didn't help you. And there's an end to that, right? Then he talked about becoming wealthy or rich by being cheap. And he said there's a big problem with that because in the end of that process, you're still cheap. So how are you going to enjoy what you have? And then, like he said, in about that spiritual part, oh man, you're not going to be giving to others. You're not going to be developing other people, right? Because you're going to still have that cheap mindset, right? So you took the process of pinching this and pinching that and being super cheap about certain stuff. That's not the way you want to go. And he said that rich people don't like rich, cheap people. That's his words, not mine, right? And then he said you can become rich by being a crook, right? Stealing money from people, from entities, right? Right? Now you know that the end of that process ends up, right? So the end of that process, you're going to jail. The end of that process, you've broken relationships. The end of that process, you've misused people. And that's not true wealth and not true riches. Manipulating people and doing things to be crooked to create income, there's a horrible end to that, right? And he talked about that. And he said people who are honest and upright really dislike people that are crooked with money because you're not rich. You can't be rich that way, right? You're just somebody with a lot of money, but you're still crooked, right? And then he said, of course, you can get rich by being lucky. Now, this has been discussed at length in the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. So if you haven't read that book, it talks about this, and it's so simple. If you just become rich by luck, the riches don't hang out long enough because you haven't developed to maintain it. You haven't developed to control it. There wasn't a leveling up so that you could understand what's going on. And what happens a lot of times when someone is dumped in to something like that, where they have a whole lot of money, but they haven't developed anything up here, a whole lot of people come around. They don't know how to manage those relationships that have just popped up, right? So they mismanage that. They feel obligated to do certain things that they don't really need to be obligated to do, but because they haven't gone through a process, they haven't developed those kind of faculties, right? So you don't want to take the elevator to success. A lot of people have said this. You know, Steve Harvey has said it. Of course, you know, there's a whole lot of scriptures that back that up also, right? And then, of course, he talks about the very end, becoming rich by becoming a smart entrepreneur. So some of those points right there were keys to help you become a smart entrepreneur. You're learning from your mistakes. You're harnessing the benefits of the tax code, right? Because people are not aware of those benefits. Even if you jumped into business and learned the tax advantages of, especially the business we're in, you can put yourself, you could put yourself in profit without making a profit. And I'm gonna leave that alone. You get back with your tax professional, you're gonna want to learn some stuff, right? And you want to have to use it to enhance your life, right? And our Wealth Builders Worldwide team is here to support you the whole way. That's all I have to say for tonight. You definitely want to tap into the process of being a smart entrepreneur, doing what you can, learning from your mistakes like he talked about, tap it into the tax code, learning to take calculated risk. You know, let's just be honest. People blow money all the time on stuff that has no end to it, right? People are running around buying crates. I mean, come on. People are almost injuring themselves to walk up crates. Okay, let's focus on building wealth. How about that? Let's focus on self-improvement and doing things day to day to improve ourselves, build ourselves, help others, and improve this world that we're connected to, right? That's just me, all right? So, one of the big things he says about becoming a smart entrepreneur is even if you lose everything in terms of financial money, you'll be able to gain it all back because of the experiences, right? Yeah, I hear you, Robert. I'm tired of that stuff. That's another thing. Wealthy people have a certain focus. You know, I'm reading another book that's just amazing, and it's How Rich People Think. Then there's another book that I'm reading that is The World Class Mindset. Okay, so the world class mindset does not fall in line with middle class. Middle class wants to be entertained. They have a certain mindset about them, and there's certain things that they think and do, right? And a lot of times you want to do the opposite of what the masses are doing, especially if the masses are walking up crates and injuring themselves. You might want to pick up a book and educate and pull and draw out the creative faculties within your mind and within your body instead of moving in the wrong direction, right? That's all I'm going to say about that. I hear you, Robert, on that LOL. I hear you. I'm with you, sir. I am with you, sir. All right, guys, get back with the person sharing this information with you. We want you to start your success journey. So we want you to get back with that person, Robert, sharing this information with you, anybody who's sharing this information with you. If that person is me, you go straight to y1income.com, get your free registration completed. We are harnessing right now a global entity called Gold Standard Partners. Is putting us in position to be entrepreneurs, is putting us in position to create passive residual income. And it is really cool. You don't have to recruit anybody. You can position yourself to become financially free. You can position yourself for passive residual income without recruiting a single person. Right now, I have a savings account with this amazing business called Gold Standard Partners. And the savings is generating a percentage no matter what happens on my global organization that I'm building. Passive residual income. All right. So if that appeals to you, get back with Robert, get back with the person sharing this information with you. If that person is me, go straight to y1income.com. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out today, tonight, this afternoon. We're on Facebook land, we're on YouTube land, and we're on Twitter land right now, sharing this great content with everybody on the sound of our voice. Tomorrow night, there will be no Daniel's Den. We are live every night except Sunday night and Wednesday night. There's a reason for that. Sunday night, we have our main event where we have an amazing training event to help support the global team. And then every Wednesday night, we have our millionaire mentor. Hear what I'm saying? A gentleman that has been financially free for over 26 years takes about an hour out of his time and pours out information to help us be successful. Guess how much we pay to attend that amazing event online? We pay attention. I was gonna say zero, but we pay attention. That's what we got to do, right? So let's exchange our thoughts. Middle class thoughts, poor thoughts, restricted thoughts, thoughts of lack. Let's exchange our thoughts and connect them to other financially free individuals and leaders so that we can get to where we need to go. All right. Thank you guys for your time. I will see you on the next live stream. This is the key for everybody that wants to get started and create income right away. Get a pack, activate a card, smash a button. Anybody could take 3 steps. That's all we do here in Gold Standard Partners. And that's it, guys. We'll have everybody have a good day, night, afternoon. I'm not going to have 3 or 4 or 5 closes tonight, okay? I will see you guys next time, okay?
will never regret to be here tonight with us. Let's go! Party is going on!
The certificates over the blockchain, first of all, it's still